Welcome to chapter 3. So this will be the last chapter of very, very rare and obscure and not very good moves. Well, there's a few other openings that are not very strong for black, but this will probably be the quickest chapter because these moves, which you can see highlighted with the arrows, are A, they're not common, B, they're not very good, and C, there's not a lot of cool, crazy tricks that you can use against them. In fact, you could really skip this chapter altogether, but I'll just show you some quick ideas if someone plays, for instance, Queen F6. So this position after Knight F3 has been reached 1.1 billion times on Lee chess alone, but after Queen F6, this position's only been reached 24 million times, which is still a lot, but in other words, you'll get this 1 out of 500 games with E4, E5, Knight F3. So yeah, obviously a bad way to defend the pawn. It's blocking the knight. It's blocking the knight's most natural square. It's putting the queen on an awkward square where later she can get hit with a bishop or a knight. And that's what I'm going to suggest here. Just knight c3, trying to immediately attack the queen. Most common is to play c6 to block the knight hopping there. But already now both the knight's most natural squares are blocked. So this is obviously bad. Here I'm going to recommend d4. Again, you don't have to remember any of this. You could play bishop c4. You could play any number of moves and have a nice advantage. I'm going to recommend d4, and then after takes, not even to take back, but to hit the queen again. So you can see we have 3 minor pieces developed versus just the queen. There's no time to take our knight because his queen is hit. And after his queen moves somewhere, just about anywhere, let's say to g6, we'll just take the pawn. And I think we can safely stop here. Black's position is just really bad. White can develop the bishop. He can castle either kingside or queenside. He can maybe defend this bishop, maybe attack the queen somehow, try to trap the queen, maybe put the light squared bishop here to threaten to move the pawn, to attack the queen. Yeah, there's a million and one ways to win. The only problem for white is that you don't get in time trouble thinking about all the possible ways to crush black. So instead of queen f6, we'll also cover queen e7. This is an even more rare move. Out of over a billion games with e4, e5, knight f3, this has been seen only 2.9 million times, which is like 1 in 500, a little less than 1 in 500. So you're almost never going to see this. If you do, same as before, knight c3, getting ready to attack the queen again. Again, c6 makes sense. This is also possible, after which you could play, you could play any number of moves. You could bring your bishop out, play d3, getting ready to pin the bishop, pin the knight. Let's just look at this briefly. Queen c4, bishop c4 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, after knight c6, d3 makes a lot of sense, and we're ready to pin the knight, hop in, put pressure on the knight, put pressure on here. For instance, d6, pinning, and then if your opponent plays h6, which if they're playing this bad opening, they very may well do, we're just going to put tons of pressure here. And at the very least, we're going to double the pawns and have a great position. If they preemptively play h6, that's okay. We can just develop normally. Maybe play this at a later date. You can bring the queen here, castle kingside or queenside. There's really not a lot of value in this. So say if instead he plays c6, you can just play b4. Again, if the opponent's going to let us have the censor, we're going to take it. And say he plays d6, trying to hold everything together. Just develop our bishop. And h6, trying to stop the knight or the bishop from coming here harassing the queen. We can just castle. And again, there's not much commentary for any of these moves. These are all very, very normal, natural moves. Adding extra protection to the pawn, potentially putting pressure on the queen if he ever takes here. And yeah, a4 is a common move in these Italian type positions. Can't quite call this an Italian because of black strange play, but Yeah, stops b5. In the chance the knight ever comes to harass the bishop can come all the way back. Sometimes you go to b3, and you're maintaining the pressure here. This will be annoying for black no matter what happens. Also keep in mind, black can't. It's going to be really hard for him to castle kingside because he's going to have to move this pawn here or here, put the bishop, in which case the bishop will be very useful along the diagonal. Too many arrows. And if he decides to castle queenside, well, we already got the a pawn coming, and the a pawn can continue coming. In other words, this is a terrible position for black. In the notes, I include one theme from this position played on Lee chess. Already, this position's only been reached 100 times out of a billion, so you're unlikely to see any of this. But if you do, now you have just a simple system